Alright, so this will be my first proof of concept. And let's just remake this Warlock deck. It'll be the first deck to prove my concept. No, I don't want to do that. So yeah, this is where most of his lore comes into play, in the construction phase, because outside of this, it generally becomes the numbers game, or the archetype takes over. And basically that means that this is the one place where we get to see where the lore plays in the most. So we have the summoning portal, which is actually a reference to the dark portal, in which Gul'dan takes his army of orcs, of cursed orcs, and takes them through it. And I suppose this is just a reference to that, even though the lore here doesn't actually say that. It is an interesting implementation into it. The rest of the cards just emphasize the hell theme that is running throughout this. So we've got demons, demon fire, we've especially got hellfire. Shadow Bolt is more or less part of the Warlock idea. Yeah, but much of his cards are to do with demons. So Sacrificial Pact, that's another, how would you call it? That's actually an interesting card. And even lore says here, this is the reason demons never really became friends with Warlock, because it kind of counteracts... It's actually a counter to himself, or more like it stops him from dying to himself, his own mechanics. Huh. Should have looked at that one a little bit more. But anyway, as you can see, many of the demons have low costs and have incredibly good effects and stats for them. At the cost, though, of quite... as for like Succubus, you have to discard a card, which is never really a good idea. Especially when it's random, because you have no choice over that. But yeah, so I'll just quickly make a deck. I picked the Warlock first because his lore best relates, his lore and his personality and his archetype best relate towards the playstyle, most of all. Well, it was the easiest one to go with first. And yes, I am recording with a potato, fortunately, and there might be some echo, and I haven't really figured out how to fix that. So I've got the core components from the Warlock, and now I'm just going to add cards that supplement this. I didn't really talk about the neutrals in my analysis. They do have their own lore too, but it was best to focus on the characters themselves, since they had the most ties to the lore. So yeah. Actually, I don't know what I'm quite going for here. The neutrals tend to have less outlandish effects, except for the dragons, I suppose. They tend to be a bit more stable in their effects, so it gives players more consistent options outside of their character. And I guess the character is supposed to implement uniqueness as well. Also, it's good to think about synergy when creating a deck. Lore-wise, a Mountain Giant really wouldn't fit with a Warlock, but the Warlock's abilities to draw cards and this ability to cost less per card. I'm not sure if this is emergent lore or emergent. It's a type of emergent gameplay, really. I'll just make a rudimentary deck. Something like that. It's not the best. I'll just rename this into Warlock. Proof of concept. So we'll play with this for a little bit, for one game, while I explain. Well, this will be proving what I meant about the reckless nature, and if you're experienced with mechanics in the deck, it won't be so reckless. You can work around
Gul'dan,
the self-harm aspect, and that plays into Gul'dan's experience, but the recklessness can also play on his naivety, which you'll see here. So I'm playing against a druid, and this is also what I meant about the archetypes. Once you enter the game, you can see what they're gonna do. Usually you get rid of high cost cards first. I may keep that if there are problems. His hand is not the best. So right now, I have no options. Even the text dialogue has some influence for lore. So here, because I have no options, I can use life tap. That costs me health, but I get new cards, I get more options. It's risky though, because I've left myself very open and he can just attack me. And he's gonna apply the pressure here. Right now, my options are not that great. And this is one of the Warlock's traits that he needs time to build up. I suppose that it kind of ties in with the idea of a Warlock. He needs to gather his knowledge, basically, and that happens over time. So if we treated every game as if you were level 1 or you were starting out, then yep. So if you're treating every game as you started at level 1 with 1 mana crystal, and as you built up, that would be the experience over time, and that would be Gul'dan's experience over time.
My shield for Argus!
So right now I'm playing with a little bit of a risky strats. I'm taking a lot of hits, which isn't the best. Actually, Voidwalker is interesting because he's the only demon that doesn't cost the player anything.
Where shall I strike?
I suppose this was just to give him some protection. That's rather aggressive. So he's playing a very aggressive druid build, which can be done because the options are there for attack boosting and charging instead of taunting, which you don't typically see, but it is a viable strategy, and it is good against me because I will keep dropping in health rather quickly. But as you see here, the Warlock is able to accumulate resources rather quickly, so it allows me quite a few options on how to deal with things like that. But see, I'm playing very risky here. I'm already at 12 health. He hasn't taken any damage. But I'm relying on the fact that the situation will turn around in my favor because I have all these options.
As you command. Why do you call? Speak to me.
I'm not probably playing the best here, but I am... But the druid here has quite a lot of versatility. So I have to be careful with what I do here, because even if I do take over like that, he can still come back the other way around, so I can't throw caution to the wind, especially when I play risky like this.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Bring pain. As you command.
So I made a slight miscalculation. My bad. Voidwalker is interesting because it acts as sort of a buffer to a lot of hero powers. His 1/3 makes it so, like for example, Malfurion, he can't just shapeshift and run over it and then strike through. He has to deal with it.
I must safeguard the land.
And this is the druid's ability. Complete control with all these options. So even if he's having a bad game, or if he needs to turn a situation around, he can. Or if he needs to be aggressive, he can. He doesn't have to wait for anything per se.
For not a time.
My shield for Argon.
So right now, my risky strategy really hasn't paid off. He's got a lot more control, and I have less. And That goes with the druid, because he can pressure early if he needs to, or he can wait it out if the enemy's being aggressive. And that's one of the strengths of the druid, and it kind of reflects on his lore,
We must cleanse the sun.
or more of his archetype, his ability to shapeshift, the ability to change the situation as he sees fit. It's slightly difficult to play against. So there are these spells like Drain Life which mitigate his problems, but yeah, he probably has a solution already, so he could just Starfall me. Yep.
Well played.
This isn't the best Warlock deck, certainly because I don't have Lord Jaraxxus, and I don't have a lot of his other cards, but it serves as a proof of concept that I played too risky, probably too recklessly, and it ended up in my defeat, and that's pretty much what happened to Gul'dan in his lore. Yeah, I just ran into my defeat here.